You wake up. Your phone is gone. Your bed is gone. Your walls are gone. Above you there is only sky, and around you there is only forest. You are alone. You are cold. You are, somehow, 30,000 years in the past. This is the moment you have imagined 100 times while watching survival shows. But the real answer to what happens next is far stranger and far more humbling than you think. Let's find out if you would make it. The first thing you notice is the silence. No engines, no hum of electricity, no distant traffic, just wind and birds and your own heartbeat suddenly very loud in your ears. You stand up. Your legs feel strange on the uneven ground. You realize you have never actually walked on dirt that wasn't a path or a trail. Every step here is a small negotiation with roots and stones and mud. Your first instinct is to look for water. You remember hearing that you can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. So you walk toward the sound of a stream. You find it, clear, cold, moving fast over rocks. You kneel down and cup your hands. Should you drink it? You hesitate. Back home, water came from a tap, already checked, already safe. Here, there is no label telling you what's inside. You drink anyway, because thirst wins the argument every time. Now comes hunger. And this is where your modern instincts start to fail you. You look around at the plants. Berries, leaves, mushrooms, roots, thousands of calories, technically, growing wild all around you. But you don't know which ones are food and which ones are poison. You never had to know. Someone else always did that learning for you, generations ago, and packaged the answer into a grocery aisle. You pick a berry. Red, plump, tempting. You almost eat it. Then you stop. A Stone Age person would not stop to wonder. They would already know, because they were taught before they could walk, which berries fill your belly and which ones stop your heart. That knowledge was not instinct. It was inheritance, passed from hand to hand, mouth to mouth, mistake to mistake, across thousands of years. You have none of it. So you leave the berry. You decide to look for something safer. Nuts, maybe. Or something you can cook, because heat destroys many of the things that would hurt you. Which brings you to fire. You have seen fire started with sticks in videos. You know vaguely the idea. Friction, heat, a spark. You gather 2 sticks and start rubbing them together like you saw someone do once online. 10 minutes later, your arms are shaking and there is no smoke, no ember, nothing. Your hands are covered in splinters. You are exhausted, and the sun is already lower in the sky than you'd like. This is the first real crack in the fantasy. Fire is not a skill you either have or don't. It's dozens of tiny sub-skills stacked together: the right wood, the right dryness, the right pressure, the right rhythm, the right tinder to catch that first invisible ember before it dies. A person who grew up doing this could start a fire in minutes without thinking about it, the way you unlock your phone without thinking about it. You never learned it because you never had to. Night begins to fall, and with it comes something you didn't expect. Fear that isn't dramatic, just constant. Every sound in the dark tree line could be nothing. It could also be something. Your ancestors lived their entire lives with that low hum of alertness running in the background, and their bodies got remarkably efficient at it. Yours has been trained the opposite way, trained to relax, because for your entire life, nothing in the dark has actually been hunting you. Now, for the first time, maybe something is. You build a crude pile of branches, not for warmth exactly, more for the feeling of a wall between you and the open dark. It is not a wall, it is leaves. But it helps anyway, the way a nightlight helps a child who knows, logically, that the room is the same with or without it. You do not sleep much. Morning comes, and with it, a strange kind of clarity. You are hungry in a way you have never truly been hungry. Not haven't eaten since lunch. Hungry, but hungry in a way that starts to quiet every other thought in your head. Food is no longer a preference. It is the only assignment. You think about hunting. You picture a spear, a chase, a triumphant kill. The reality is far less cinematic. You would need to make a weapon from scratch, out of wood and stone, with no instructions and no practice. You would need to track an animal you cannot see, based on signs you do not know how to read: a bent blade of grass, a hoofprint, a smell carried on the wind. You would need to be patient in a way that modern life, built entirely around instant answers, has slowly trained out of you. Even if you managed all of that, you would still need to actually catch something faster, stronger, and more alert than you are. So instead, you turn to smaller things, insects, grubs, things that don't run. It is not glamorous, but it is calories, and calories are the only currency that matters now. By the second day, something in you starts to shift. Not skill, not yet, attention. You notice things you would have walked past a week ago. The particular way certain leaves curl when they are edible versus when they are not. The sound birds make right before something larger moves through the brush. The subtle line where shade falls differently, hinting at where water might be closer to the surface. This is the part almost no one expects. Your brain adapts faster than your skills do. Within days, your senses start sharpening simply because, for the first time in your life, they are being asked to. But sharpened senses do not make up for lost decades of accumulated knowledge overnight. A person born into this world would already know where to find shelter before a storm rolls in, just by reading the color of the sky. You are still learning that gray does not always mean rain, and rain does not always mean danger, and danger is not always loud. By day 3, exhaustion sets in differently than modern tiredness. It is not the tiredness of a long day at a desk. It is the tiredness of a body doing physical work non-stop, on too little food, with too little rest, while also running a constant background process of vigilance. You start making small mistakes, you misjudge a step, and turn your ankle slightly. In your old life, this would mean sitting down, icing it, waiting it out. Here, a small injury is not small. It is a countdown. Reduced mobility means reduced ability to find food, avoid danger, or keep up if you needed to move quickly. This is the quiet truth behind the fantasy of roughing it. It was never really about isolated skills like starting a fire or building a shelter. It was about margin. Modern life is built with enormous margin for error. Mistakes that would have once been dangerous are now just inconvenient. Forget to eat, and there's a snack later. Get injured, and there's help nearby. Make a wrong call, and there's usually a second chance. Out here, margin disappears. Every decision costs something real, and yet. By the end of the first week, if you were somehow still alive, something interesting would be happening. Your body would already be changing, your senses recalibrating to a world with fewer easy answers. Your patience stretching in ways it hasn't had to before. You would still be far from thriving, but you would be a slightly different person than the one who woke up in that forest days ago. That is, in the end, the real answer to the question. Not a simple yes or no, survival or death, in 5 days or 50. The real answer is that you would survive exactly as long as your body's ancient, dormant instincts could reawaken faster than your modern habits could get you killed. You carry more of that old knowledge than you think, buried under layers of convenience, waiting for a crisis to shake it loose. But you also carry less of it than you'd like to believe, because for your entire life, someone else has already been doing the hard part for you. So tonight, when you flip a switch and light floods the room without a second thought, remember that, somewhere underneath that ease, there is still a version of you that knows how to be afraid of the dark for the right reasons. The Stone Age never really left. It's just been waiting, quietly, for the lights to go out.